Great. You probably have a pretty good opening story by now. And what we'd like to do next is move into the continued storyline through the middle of your talk. So you were able to come up with those headlines in the first round of exercises. Let's pull those down and be thinking about how do we continue that storyline with the next story, the insight about that story, and the impact of that story.
I like the way that you used the word continued storyline, because that's what it is, right? We start with a story, we get the attention, we get the remembering, and it becomes alive. And then we really move on to the middle piece of the speech, and we're in the content section. Now, here it's important and good to actually bring life towards your content. But a challenge I see in many speeches is that you see people starting to tell story after story after story, and they end up getting lost in 4 or 5 stories. And then as an audience, you kind of get lost, what was their point? So keep in mind that once you've done a strong opening story, which you have by now, as you are weaving maybe the one or the other storyline in your content, you're not going to distract from your main story, and you don't story tell all the way through. It really is now the middle of your speech where you're giving content.
Yeah. And it's important to stay in story mode and not presenter teacher mode, so that you keep people engaged and connected to you. You're the story.
That point, Justin, and the best way I've heard that put into words was, when you give a really good speech, it's as if somebody can watch you think on stage, right? Because then you're not in teaching mode. Then it's like, I can actually watch you think, because it's almost like you're reflecting on a subject, content subject, thing that really is important to our strategy, rather than going into this teaching and telling mode, which isn't inspiring.
I agree. And once you finish that storyline, then we're ready to transition into the ending, which is, what do you want to invite people to do, and why is their contribution important? So you'll notice in this round, you also have those 2 questions. Take a first crack at those.